It's a big claim, but this is the best Android tablet I've ever used. And it's an inexpensive Android tablet, but it really is a special Android tablet, and I like it. I really like it. It's the Lenovo P12 Matte. Now even the Apple iPad can now come with a matte screen, although the cheapest you can get that is for like £1,700 because you need to go to the 1TB version as a minimum. And then that's before buying the Magic Keyboard and an Apple Pencil, which you want, so you're looking at over £2,000 for the iPad with the matte screen. The Lenovo P12 Matte starts at £390 or £520 if you want to buy it with the pen and the ThinkPad style keyboard, which I think you really want. I really like the way they've designed that. So that's a quarter of the price for a really similar experience for most people's use cases. I really like the way when you snap that, you can have it automatically go into PC mode. I have used this for more than 2 weeks at work, and I've been really enjoying using it along with the Microsoft suite of apps with, if for instance, OneNote, which has been my daily planner. For example, in the last couple of days, I've been thinking ahead to next year on my channel, and so I sat and annotated this with the pen here in OneNote, this overview of the previous year, and looked at what I did well and what I'm planning on doing differently next year. But what makes it special? Well, it's all about that matte screen. It makes it look much more like paper than an ordinary LCD tablet. And if you're at home on Android, you'll be really at home here. Some things about it I'm not so keen on though. It is a little bit underpowered. It's not got a great processor and it doesn't have a massive amount of RAM or storage. And I have found that occasionally in use I do get it freezing up, especially if I'm in PC mode and I have to actually pull off the keyboard to put it back into normal tablet mode. And I haven't seen it freeze up in normal tablet mode. And it's even underpowered when you compare it to my 3-year-old Samsung Z Fold 3. And that means that there are times when I actually use this thing instead. For instance, this can do DeX mode to an external screen, whereas this Lenovo tablet can't. So I would love to see it in that slightly higher spec in terms of its performance. Those issues have only been just a few times, and for what I've been using it for instance, docking it onto this magnetic keyboard and getting great typing feels and working on my scripts, working on my articles, it's been a really good time. It's big enough as a screen to have 2 apps side by side. It's got a large enough trackpad even. And I like the way when you type, the predictive text just pops up at the bottom, just a finger press away. And there's even a shortcut to use to select one of those words. It's a natural keyboard to use. It's big enough and it gives you enough of a satisfying click. It has quickly become a place that I seek out doing bits of writing on. It's not just a nice to have, but you know, this is a confirmed writer's friend. That's if you're happy on LCD, of course, and well, if you can actually put up with this type of kickstand on your lap, because that's certainly not perfect. I like using the PC mode, and I also like that you can just pull that entire keyboard off and not have that extra weight whilst you're just using it as a handheld tablet. I did think that I would use it that way for things like PowerPoints as well, but I found in the end it was just a really nice companion to use as a note-taking tablet. Now, anti-glare should be the biggest pro of this, but the issue is still that when the glare is most bothersome, when you're in direct sunlight, like any screen to date really, any emissive screen that is, it can't get bright enough to actually deal with that direct bright sunlight. So yeah, even a tandem OLED from Apple won't be bright enough as a direct reflection from the sun. But what you do get is you get fewer incidences of like what we call specular reflections, where you can actually make out the shapes of things. So although you do get glare across the screen, it's nicely diffused. Try and pick out one of these glares here and compare that to a glossy screen. I want to say that the matte screen gives it a lovely paper-like and note-taking feel, but it isn't like paper. However, it does give you enough friction that you can actually write quite neatly on here. That's what's important. It's not actually important that it feels like paper, it's important that you can write nice and neatly on it. And one thing which is rarely talked about a matte screen is that you rarely notice any fingerprint smudges on the screen while you're using it. So all in all, I've really enjoyed using this screen. I think it's a really good balance, in fact. It's not perfect for drawing, for instance, but I really did enjoy using it. The pen needs to be charged separately. It isn't as good as Wacom EMR. I think this is a Lenovo's own pen technology, but it is accurate enough. It does have some different screen modes, dark mode for instance, as you'd expect, and adaptive brightness, but it also has this thing, screen color mode, which I've got it on vibrant as I really like that for drawing, but it also has eye protection mode, which of course just limits the blue light intensity, and you can have that scheduled to come on. Then it also goes for reading mode, where you can actually turn it into a black and white screen, or you can have color mode where it will just sort of preferentially go for contrast and make it a bit more of a comfortable reading experience. And that is going to be one of the main benefits of reading on a screen like this, and you can see this does look really quite good. It's not quite as contrasty and vibrant as OLED, it's not reflective like e-ink, but it is a middle ground. It aims to be the best of both worlds, but unfortunately, of course, it always ends up being just a trade-off. And the best of both worlds can also just be the worst of both worlds too. So it's time to talk a little bit about the elephant in the room. When you can get such great e-ink tablets as the Go 10.3 and the Tab Ultra C Pro, and where e-ink is just such a more comfortable place to work. Honestly, I did find it a bit much to be moving from this LCD screen to my laptop to the LCD board at the front of my classroom. I did find that a little bit too much emissive screen in my life, and I missed living with the e-ink screen. And that unfortunately is the sole reason that I won't be going back to this long term. However, when there are times when I just want to type on something, then it is a really comfortable place. If I am not having to spend the rest of my day looking at other screens, it is a really comfortable place to do that typing. So for what it's aiming to be, a replacement for paper, there is something better, e-ink tablets. But then e-ink tablets can't give you such a great multimedia experience like this can. So perhaps for many of you, it's a really good middle ground. It is a compromise therefore, and as one viewer put it, I haven't got time for meh. So if you're happy to have a different device for each use case, you can then have an OLED in your pocket for media, you can have an e-ink tablet in your bag for your notes and your reading, or of course you can have an e-ink in your pocket or an OLED in your bag, whatever way around you want. And if you can afford it, if you don't mind having to switch between the two, and you don't mind having that sort of mental detachment between the two, well, go for it. But if you just want one device, perhaps you just want to take one device on your travels, maybe this is the one for you. That's a really nice screen. I mean, it looks great. And I do really like this keyboard case, but the whole thing, this keyboard case and this plastic backing so that you can have this kickstand, does make the whole package really quite heavy. And although these are ThinkPad inspired shapes, there's no track point, there's no clicky mouse buttons where you'd expect them to be, and there's no pig up and pig down buttons, and where is the any key on here? At least though they have got the control in the right position and they haven't gone for the incorrect placement of the control that they do on ThinkPad laptops. It also has a fingerprint reader there for quick wake up. And as I was saying about the case, unfortunately it's just one of these sort of simple plastic bucket cases. The materials are nothing to be desired, and they've taken what is a really nice and elegantly designed tablet and then chucked it into a case that just looks like any old plastic case they've come up with. I mean, this could have been some really nice textured cloth. Yeah, bit of a miss there. And yeah, face unlock there as well, which works fine. But you know what? For the intended use as a little satellite for your laptop or your desktop PC, this works brilliantly. The only major downside for me is it just isn't e-ink. So you need to be honest with yourself. If e-ink isn't necessary for you, if it's just a nice to have, if you don't struggle with eye strain, if you can manage to use LCD for long periods, then maybe this matte screen is the best option. I have loved using this for work. It's been an incredibly smooth experience between work and personal apps in the Microsoft and the Google clouds. It's all there, everything you'd expect from Android. And flip, it is actually cheaper than an equivalent e-ink panel. And for me as a writer, it's been a joy to write on with both the pen and with the keyboard. The big learning for me and for us as a community on this channel is about e-ink tablets and e-ink companies and e-ink themselves. They need to look at making their tablets as smooth to operate as this beautiful tablet here. Then we'd have an out-and-out winner. So, Boox, Remarkable, Supernote, if you're listening, get your R&D department this as soon as possible. Get one of these in their hands and show them what the end point is. Or Lenovo, get e-ink on the phone and get some 12-inch Kaleido-free panels. Get them into this P12 shell as quickly as possible, and we'll have something which is an ideal writer's productivity machine.